Even with all the technology that we have available today to help us plan a photo shoot, there's still nothing better than actually coming to the location and scouting it. Far off over there in the distance, if you can just make out that conical shaped mountain there, that is Mount Storžič, and on a hill right in front of it is the ruins of an old castle. The castle is called Castle Smlednik. It's hard to pronounce. And I first discovered this viewpoint, I'd say a few weeks ago, when I came here hiking with my family. We hiked the nearby hill Shmana Gora here. And as I walked past, I spotted this view. And I knew the two elements. I knew about Smlednik Castle, and of course I knew about Storžič, but I actually spotted that these two were in alignment from this place. So I made a note to come back. Now, the reason I say it's great to physically scout a location, even with all the technology that we have today, this is a perfect example of this. Well, when I went home, obviously I looked on TPE and I found this spot, found the alignment, and looked to see where the sun would rise and set. And on TPE it looked like this was a possible morning shot and an afternoon shot, because you would get light off from one side in the morning and light off from the other side in the afternoon, which of course is true. So a week or so later I came back here with a view to get a photo one afternoon, and that particular afternoon the conditions didn't pan out as I hoped they would. In fact, they weren't very good at all. Now, it's easy to think that, oh well, you know, it's no good, pack up and go home. But I didn't do that. Instead, I did something else. And because the conditions were not very good, and I knew I wasn't going to get a good photo, I was actually free of the distractions of trying to get a good photo. And instead of just packing up and going home, I actually spent a bit of time here. I looked around the area. I found the best composition. I studied the scene. And I studied my composition. And because I took a bit more time, I actually saw that, although I thought I could include the trees down below, when I actually took some time to look and zoom in close, take a few test shots, I saw that there were electricity cables at the bottom there. So I then learned that I had to make sure that my composition was started high enough that I would cut off the top of those electricity cables and the electricity pylon, which meant, obviously, the castle being much lower in my composition, and also meant either I choose to do a 16:9 letterbox aspect ratio if there's not much interest in the sky, or if there is a lot of interest in the sky above, then I could go higher. But typically I figured that this was going to be a 16:9 letterbox aspect ratio, which it is. So because of that, I knew that I have one spot that I could be right here, that this was the best spot to place the castle, right off to the side of the mountain, just in between where the big peak of Storžič meets that smaller little peak to the right of it. And so basically I knew exactly where to be and exactly how to set my composition. And I did that by being here. Could never have done that virtually, of course. And also, I learned that although yes, I'm going to get sun at sunrise from this side and sun at sunset from that side, or not so much sunrise, but more, for example, morning light from this way and afternoon light from this way. But by coming here and actually looking at the scene and even taking a shot when the light fell on it in the afternoon, I could see that the best time to be here was in the afternoon actually, because the light falling from the right onto the right side of the castle is much more interesting. Okay, obviously I don't know my left from my right. I meant to say that the light, the afternoon light falling onto the left side of the castle ruins is the best option, as we can clearly see here in this photo. This was one of the test shots I took on the time when I was scouting, when the light wasn't great, and you can clearly see that when the light fell on it, it lit up this side of the ruins of the castle, and this side was in the shade. Now in the morning the light would come from the right side and it would light up this side of the castle, and this side would be in shade. So the larger part of the object would actually be in the shade, and the smaller side would be lit, which won't look as nice. Now this side being lit, you can pretty much see a large part of the castle itself, and this side being in the shadow actually gives it a sense of dimension. So the side lighting is very good, but it's important that the side lighting comes onto the right side. So this was something I could never have figured out by looking at Google Maps, and maybe I could, but you know, without doubt being there and being there at a time when this happened, and also at a time when the light wasn't great, so I could study it and take test shots and then look at it when I came back home, really made the difference. And that's why it's good not just to just be there, but also shoot a couple of test shots, because then you can come home, look at them on the computer and really think about your composition. Now you can also see down here, this is where I've got the electricity cables and this electricity pylon. Now this was hard to see where I was standing because I was quite far away, and I was zooming right into about 400mm focal length, and this was hard to see from where I was. And by zooming in and looking at your live view, and also increasing your exposure compensation to brighten everything so you can really see down here in the shadow areas what there is. And because of that, I was able to see then that there was this electricity pylon here. So then I knew I needed to readjust my composition to exclude all of that, which meant also that I would have to include more sky, which meant that definitely the 16:9 aspect ratio is going to be the better option. Otherwise there would be just too much sky here. So because I was able to physically come here and scout this, I learned a couple of things that I could never have learned just by studying the map or looking at TPE and everything else. So what I got from that first trip was my composition fixed and knowing that I will come in the afternoon, because I want afternoon light to fall from this side onto the castle. Okay, so now I've come back again today, and the great thing about knowing what you're doing means that you can rush here and get set up quickly and be ready when the magic happens, rather than moving around, fussing around trying to find the right composition. The only problem is I got here a little bit too late. A storm passed over, and then as I was driving along, I saw that it was clearing over the mountains, so I rushed here as quickly as I could and I got set up, but I was just that fraction too late that, as you can see on this video here now, the another storm front was moving in and it obscured the sun. So I lost the light. I got the light on the mountains, but I've got no light on my castle, and that's what I want, light on the castle. It's not a total loss though, as you can see. I got some great storm clouds. There's Storžič over there. There we go. There's Storžič over there. And then to the right, the rest of the Kamnik Alps. So it's not a total loss. I still have, this is the composition that I worked out when I was here 2 weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I should say. So it's a great composition, and what I really wanted was some great cloud around the mountain and some direct light falling on the hill and the castle. I haven't quite got that this time, but still got a nice stormy, moody shot to boot. But hopefully, I was kind of hoping that these clouds would move over. But it doesn't seem to be happening. Thankfully the storm hasn't hit here, but still, there's still time. I'm going to wait around and see. If not, I can still come back another day. Now the great thing about this, of course, is that I've got my composition set. I'm all ready to go. Now all I need to do is just wait for the light. I can shoot a few shots which are quite nice in the meantime, but I'm kind of hoping that these clouds do seem to be moving. The horizon is clearing, so I'm kind of hoping that the sun will break through at some point and beautiful soft light will fall on the hill and the castle and light that up for me. So now it's just a waiting game. And while I'm waiting, I can get some shots of the rest of the Kamnik Alps over there, because the light now is falling beautifully on them. I think I might have spoken too soon about the rain. Luckily I'm under some trees here, but it's not going to provide that much shelter if that storm really hits, so hopefully it won't though. Hopefully it will just pass. I'll be on the edge of it. Oh, the rain's coming down a bit heavier now, but it's still not that bad. And I've just moved back a bit further under the trees to give myself a bit more shelter, but still managed to maintain my composition. So that's good. Flashing red battery means I need to change it right now, because the last thing you need is for your battery to die at the moment that everything happens. So I'm going to change my battery. And the sun is breaking through. The sun is bursting through the edge of the storm over there, just as I hoped it would. Starting to break through now, so I may get my shot yet. Now you can see the sun's broken right through. It's still raining, but we're getting light falling on the castle now. Not quite the strong light that I'd hoped for, but something. Unfortunately though, much of the cloud has gone from around the mountain now. And there's still a lot of haze around the castle and the hill because of the rain. Maybe it will clear. I've got strong light now, just need some of the mist to clear. Quite useful having some trees here as a shelter. And we got a beautiful rainbow to top it all off. Shame it's not over by the castle though. Beautiful after storm light. There's nothing like it. Now, there's more than one reason why I've got the sunshade on the end of the lens like that. The other reason is when it is raining like this, it's a great rain protector for the end of your lens. Keeps the water droplets off. Beautiful lighting conditions now. What I particularly like about this composition is, you see, I've got the castle. You can see that. I've got the castle right there, right down on the very edge of Storžič, but still with the whole of the mountain behind it. See? You can still see that the whole of the mountain is right behind it. So that helps to separate the castle and make it stand out in the scene. And I've got the whole of Storžič peak and that small peak to the right. And down below I've just got enough of the hill and that little clump of tree here, right about here. There we go. Really like how that little bit of the trees are standing out on the edge where the hill tapers off down to the edge of the composition. So this was all thought and planned several weeks ago when the light wasn't good. Now it's paying dividends. Now I'm back here when everything is rapidly changing. There's great light, great cloud, and I can now really focus on what's happening in the sky with the light and the clouds. And the rain's starting to clear a bit over there, so the light's starting to improve on the castle. And a nice bit of contrast between the two, because the Storžič mountain is still in the shadow, so it's quite dark, and soft light is now falling on the castle, making it stand out against the mountain. And I position myself just right. I think that one's a keeper. Nice tuft of cloud right over the very peak of Storžič. The great thing about having scouted, we've got the composition planned and everything set. Now I can just react to the conditions as they happen, because the clouds are moving across and it's providing all sorts of different effects. Just when you think you've got a great shot, another even better one comes along a bit later. And it often means that you go back home and you have to look through them all and pick one or two of the best. The sun's getting close to the horizon now. Well, not the horizon actually. It's going to go down over the mountain tops over there pretty soon. And it looks like the rest of the clouds have moved over. So I think we're pretty much almost done. I'll hang around until the sun goes down over the peaks, but I think I've got a couple of pretty good shots. Haven't quite got the shot that I was hoping for or looking for, but I got a pretty good shot nonetheless. And it just goes to show you that scouting a location, if you can, it's all well and good to do all your planning beforehand using maps, using TPE and various other things, but if you can come down here and scout a location, then all the better. And a good time to come down and scout the location is when the light is not good, because as I said, you're free of the distraction of working to try and get a great photo, and you can really focus on looking around, finding the best composition, seeing the lay of the land and how the light would fall, and trying to visualize and imagine what kind of a picture you want to get. And then you can come back and work on it like I have today. I haven't quite got the picture I want, but I've got some good pictures nonetheless, and that's what's important. Okay? Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Check out my other videos, and catch you later.